Dear chess friends, today I will demonstrate various ways for achieving a checkmate. It's important to know which pieces you will need to corner the enemy king. These patterns can appear in many different positions. Let's have a look one by one, but before we start, kindly subscribe the channel for further updates. First, have a look at the checkmate with the queen. As you know, the queen is the most lethal of the pieces for performing a checkmate. At close range, the queen can trap the enemy king at the side of the board and cover all his escape squares by herself. Despite this power, the queen can still be captured like any other piece, so usually the queen relies on the support of a second piece when delivering checkmate. Queen can checkmate with a knight. Suppose you have the knight at the square d5, the king at e8 can be mate by queen at e7. It can also checkmate with a bishop if both of them are on a same diagonal. Rook can also play its part with the queen in mating the king if he is on the same rank. Have a look at this. Even pawn can also help queen checkmate the enemy king. Sometimes the queen is able to checkmate the enemy king all by herself if one or more of the king's escape squares are blocked by his own pieces. The following two examples are worth remembering. Now let's have a look at rook checkmates. Rooks are less powerful than the queen, and so usually need at least one other piece to cover the enemy king's escape squares. A common type of rook checkmate is the back rank mate, which is so important it will have its own part later. Here are some of the most common checkmate patterns featuring rooks. Rook can also mate the king with the help of the knight. Bishop can also help the rook mating the king. Two rooks can also trap the king at the back rank. Bishop and knight checkmates. Checkmate with the minor pieces is less common than with the rook and queen, as the bishop and knight cover fewer squares, and therefore must rely on more pieces to help them in surrounding the enemy king. However, there are still a few notable checkmate patterns featuring bishops and knights that are worth remembering. Pawn checkmates. Even the lowly pawn can checkmate the enemy king with adequate support from the other pieces. The limited mobility of the pawn makes this kind of checkmate somewhat rare, but they are known to happen when the enemy king is restricted in his movements. Hope these checkmates help you finishing the game. Kindly like the video if you find it helpful. Till then, thanks, goodbye.